of course, the entire army of fast food billionaires are in the same boat. Perhaps you think it was possible way back when, but not now, and certainly not in the sciences, right? We have to agree that those require bell-driven, test-driven, subject-driven classes. But if that's true, how can we explain the Human Genome Project, the world's most prestigious scientific project? It was created by two men. One was Francis Collins, unschooled on a remote sheep ranch in Western Virginia by his mother, using a wildly open source methodology with no template at all. The logic of Collins' schooling imposed by his mother was follows. There were four brothers. They had to agree on what they wanted to study. They then studied it as long as they felt like it. They could only get off the track, however, if all four agreed, and now for something different. So he was half of the Human Genome Project. No specialty in science at all. The other half is perhaps even more unexpected. He just published his autobiography, and his name is Craig Venter. He was a very, very bad student, I believe in a San Diego school, and he cut school constantly. He was a self-proclaimed surfer bum who graduated only by the skin of his teeth when one teacher changed an F to a D in order to get rid of the louse. Then those two eventually teamed up and we had the Human Genome Map.
Can you get? You need some water?
I need a stretcher is what I mean. No, I'm from Pittsburgh once we get the bit between our teeth. On April the 27th, 2007, so less than 2 years ago, national headlines announced the firing of MIT's famous director of admissions, Merrill E. Jones. She had been dismissed in disgrace after 28 years of splendid service in which she won MIT's highest honors. Jones was a specialist at female recruitment. During her long tenure, she tripled the number of women at MIT. She was hailed from coast to coast among the admissions fraternity. Press questioning of MIT students at the time of her dismissal called her beloved, almost revered, and irreplaceable. I took that from the Wall Street Journal story. So why was she canned? Molestation of students, selling MIT secrets to Microsoft? No, none of the above. Some diligent snoop had discovered that the college degrees she claimed at the time of her hiring 28 years earlier were fakes. She had actually been, if I gave you 1,000 guesses, no one in this room would come close, I wouldn't either. She had actually been a nightclub torch singer in upstate New York country western nightclubs until the moment MIT took her in. Now, why anyone with a good job like that would wish? Anyway, MIT Chancellor Philip Clay told reporters the door was now closed forever on another torch singer in admissions. Quote, "In future," he said, "we will take a big lesson from this experience." Now, what lesson might that be? It couldn't be the obvious lesson that degrees are only magical talismans. They promise nothing and only meritorious performance is the proper measure of quality. Couldn't be that. What degree should we give bureaucrat Clay for costing MIT a brilliant colleague who added great value to the school? The colossal jerk degree? Dropping school does not mean dropping education. That's the real lesson. Think of Ingvar Kamprad, diagnosed as dyslexic by the usual school experts. Ingvar began his independent life, since he had been pronounced hopeless as a student, in Denmark as a bicycle peddler of fish. Can you think of a harder job than pedaling up to somebody with a fish? So I'm going to buy this fish. Gradually, he added matches to his basket, and finally he finished it off with Christmas decorations. Well, what about a Christmas decoration? You don't want the fish. No, the decoration smells like fish. Then, bit by bit, Ingvar founded IKEA to reflect his egalitarian philosophy that beauty and utility should be available to everybody, not just the prosperous. That fish peddler is worth $31 billion today, but much more important than his wealth is his ongoing determination to add value to lives other than his own. When you understand yourself so thoroughly, you can write your own script instead of following the orders of strangers or the common paths of your time. You must be among the small group on the road to education. Migrant fruit picker Charles Webb fits this description for me. You probably heard of Charles because of his creation 45 years ago of an American classic story, The Graduate, which in book form sold millions of copies, and as a movie became a runaway hit. Charles and his wife, her name is Fred, Charles and Fred made $100 million, and they were on the 18 guest list all over the world. And guess what they did with their $100 million? They gave every penny of it away. Charles said, wealth didn't work for us, he told a reporter, and they became migrant fruit pickers in California, living in trailers. The world is just much different than the ordinary narratives allow us to imagine. Every school day in America, 7,000 young men and women drop out of school, some confused, some brave, all of them angry. If we had any national coherence or leadership, we would look at these people as a great resource and treat them with respect. 1.25 million people a year, no different as genius possibilities than the dropout Benjamin Franklin, or the dropout Richard Branson, or the dropout Wright brothers, or the slum urchin Lula da Silva, grown to the presidency of Brazil without a school certificate and on the verge of making his nation free of petroleum, probably next year, but certainly over the next 2 years. More than 1 million American young a year do not want to be in a classroom. I think that would be 20 million if they were offered a choice to help America become a new nation again. If we said, help us build a new nation, those of you who want to. The rest of you, stay in class. If things really were as we've been taught to believe,